Right now, the National Weather Desk, bomb cyclone. The powerful storm strikes the West Coast, bringing flooding rain to Northern California and damaging winds to Washington.
That tree just came right on top of it. I have no idea how they made it out okay.
The police chief saying that she believes this is a once in a decade, at least a once in a decade storm.
We'll show you the power of the storm along the coast and look at some of the benefits it's bringing to the region.
We're very excited about this current set of storms coming in.
Does the color of the sky hint at the weather that's on the way?
A beautiful view, but also sometimes indicate that rain is on the way.
And the role AI is playing in space exploration.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. At least one person is dead and hundreds of thousands are without power this morning as a so-called bomb cyclone sweeps through the Pacific Northwest. It could be one of the strongest storms in the region in decades. The storm is bringing lots of rain, feet of snow, and powerful winds from Seattle to Northern California. Yesterday, Washington state was battered with hurricane-force winds, with one gust measuring at 101 miles per hour. One woman died when a tree fell on a homeless encampment. Right now, Washington is getting the worst of this storm. There will be rain today and up to a foot of snow in the Cascade Mountains. And thanks to an atmospheric river, it's also raining in Northern California, and it may not stop until the weekend. Some areas around Eureka could get up to a foot or more of rain because before it's all done, flash flooding is expected. The snow will pile up in higher elevations with several feet possible as well. And our station in Seattle had multiple crews out just last night covering the widespread damage. We start with Ryan Sims, who was just west of Seattle.
This is the extent of what is known so far, and I got to remind everyone that we're not in some heavily forested kind of rural area here. This, what you're seeing live, is in the middle of downtown Issaquah. This is Front Street, so you got to wonder, given the scenes that you're seeing live on your screen, you got to wonder what it's like, again, in more of those rural residential areas. Streets across the area, as you see, are absolutely littered with fallen trees, branches, and debris that was swept up from people's properties. According to Eastside Fire and Rescue, there has been at least one structural collapse so far. Everyone in that home was okay, but getting there was a challenge. That's because there are just so many down trees and electrical lines right now that rescuers have had to decide which calls they want to respond to. Basically, this is our understanding. If it's anything less than someone having a heart attack or a major medical incident, those streets are just too dangerous even for emergency crews to travel. It is estimated that dozens of homes and properties have been hit with fallen trees tonight. The police chief saying that she believes this is a once in a decade, at least a once in a decade storm.
We heard from Seattle Fire that they were rescuing a person who had been trapped in their car. I want to just kind of show you what happened here. You can see this is where it started. This tree, those massive roots, they toppled out of the ground and then they crunched this car. The person inside, thankfully, is okay. I mean, if you look at that car, you can see the damage. That tree just came right on top of it. I have no idea how they made it out okay, but we are happy to report that they are okay, and they didn't even have to go to the hospital.
As you may imagine, the storm is also pounding the coast with massive waves. These pictures come from Cape Disappointment, along with the extreme southwest corner of Washington state. Waves like these are bringing people out to see the power of Mother Nature. Paul Riviera has that part of our story.
We traveled along the coast of Ocean Shores to see what the storm was doing. The powerful wind gusts throwing the Pacific Ocean into the shoreline.
The waves here are kind of a lot bigger, as you can see out there. They're bigger than normal.
This is new, and this is exciting. I just love raw nature.
It's really windy. It'll knock you over a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
Down at the jetty, Vince, who lives nearby, was working to keep his balance. He wasn't getting any closer.
You look at these logs down here and you see how easily just a foot of water will move these logs that probably weigh a ton, some of them. I get concerned with people that get too close to the water because these waves can come out of nowhere.
As conditions deteriorated and the cold rain fell even harder, it was just a brief look at the waves before everybody went back to hunker down and finish off any final preps.
I'm just gonna go to the store real fast, get a few little bit more water, some non-perishable foods, and that way if the power goes out, I'm good.
No, I'm not concerned. I mean, if the wind gets up around 70 miles an hour, I'll be concerned for the roof, you know, the tiles, but I generally tie everything down.
And all that snow is good news for ski fans in the area. Sarah McCoy spoke with officials at one ski resort who said if the storm drops what is predicted to drop, they could have one of the earliest openings in decades.
Last ski season, Mount Shasta Ski Park opened on January 10th. This year, with back-to-back snowstorms, Mullins said if everything goes as planned, their targeted goal is to be open on December 12th.
That's really exciting. This is early for us for this kind of snow and projection of snow. So it's shaping up for us to get open and have a great season. Maximum days skied this year, hopefully.
Mullins says he hopes the park opens before Christmas to benefit the surrounding communities.
When we're open, the businesses, the hotels, the motels, the restaurants, they all thrive. If we're not open, they don't have any business.
Sometimes the setbacks with opening for the season aren't always about the weather, but having enough help. Mullins says they have made a lot of improvements on the mountain and there will be new runs. Mount Shasta Ski Park has worked extensively on equipment and are looking forward to a great season this year.
Get out there with our equipment and we pack the snow. That's why it may say 4 feet, but when we get through, it's only going to be 18 inches to 24 inches because we're having to pack it down. And then with the rain coming on top of that, it's going to really solidify the snow. It's going to make it hard. And that's a hard base. We'd like to get that nice base. The ground has to get cold so the snow stays.
And officials in Northern California say with all the weather moving in, area lakes that are in much need of water could start to fill up. But they also have a word of caution here. Mike Mangus has more.
Well, we're very excited about this current set of storms coming in. Shasta Reservoir is about 90% rain-filled, so any amount of precipitation we get up here is helpful to the lake. But truthfully, it's going to take about 3 storms like this before we really start to see the lake level rise.
Think of the ground as a big sponge. Before we see significant water storage, the thirsty earth has to be quenched.
As the rain comes into all of our tributaries, the ground gets saturated, and we have to allow that saturation to actually take hold. Once that happens, that's why we've seen repeatedly over the history, right, that 3 storms seems to be a really good number to have that saturation take place.
Despite a nice 2024 water year, right now Shasta Lake is about 81 feet from the crest. That's 27 feet lower than last year at this time. There was more demand from agriculture and the salmon fishery this year. Those white buoys warned boaters the remains of the head tower used in the construction of Shasta Dam are not too far from the surface.
We're in our winter season right now at Shasta Dam, so our releases are about 4,000 CFS out of Keswick Dam. This allows us to retain as much water as we can as we prepare for the winter season.
Another storm in the upper Midwest will also bring wind, snow, and rain to a widespread area. We have WJLA senior meteorologist Brian Vandergraph tracking that system for us. Brian.
Hey, as we look across the middle section of the nation and across the Northeast, a big storm system will be impacting portions of the upper Midwest, the Mid-Atlantic, all the way up to the Northeast. We're talking rain and wind today, but on the backside, snow. There's a big area of low pressure and the upper levels of the atmosphere spinning around, and these surface lows are kind of rotate around it. As they do so, they'll draw in this colder Arctic air that's going to be moving in, this Canadian air that's going to bring a chill to our area, and also the potential for snow for Pennsylvania and portions of upstate New York, and also the spine of the Appalachians from western Maryland right on down through portions of West Virginia. Winter storm warnings in effect. There could be a foot of snow in portions of West Virginia and northeast Pennsylvania before it's all said and done on Friday. Angela?
Thanks, Brian. And if you have been forced to enjoy your pumpkin spice latte with the AC on blast this year, you are not alone. Preliminary data from NOAA shows this fall is on pace to be one of the warmest on record. According to the data, the average temperature across the lower 48 this season is more than 7 degrees above normal. For comparison here, the warmest fall on record was in 2016 when the temperature was a little over 4 degrees warmer than average. And for all the latest, most up-to-date weather info, be sure to follow us on social media. Just search National Weather Desk on your favorite social media platform. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll find out how AI is helping us learn about Jupiter's moon, Europa. And it's deer mating season. We'll show you how to avoid hitting them when you're driving on those roads.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We have one more seasonably mild day and mostly dry day on tap for our Wednesday. We should be in the 50s for highs. There'll be some more clouds through parts of New York. There'll be more clouds in parts of Maine as well. In between there, look for a decent amount of sun. That's about 1 o'clock this afternoon. Now, there's a strong front approaching from the west with an area of low pressure developing along it. So some rain develops tonight over western zones. This is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The heaviest rainfall moves into New England on Thursday with some snow on the backside.
I'm meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. The day begins with a mostly dry forecast. However, as we head into the afternoon, we will be tracking the chance for a few showers. The best chance for rain will come tomorrow night. Most of the rain will taper once we head into Friday morning, all ahead of another system. Temperatures will rise to the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Then overnight, temperatures drop to the 30s and 40s across the region.
I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl. We are still tracking the impacts of that frontal boundary across the southeast. You can see exactly where the frontal boundary has made its impact already. We're seeing highs in the 60s, low 70s, and then 80s down in South Florida where the frontal boundary hasn't exactly made its way through yet. Now, Wednesday throughout the day, that front will be pushing to the south and west. Will dry up significantly once the area makes its way just south of the I-4 corridor and high pressure will settle in.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A partial view of a double rainbow as rain moves through Bristol. Secondary rainbows form much like primary bows, except the light reflects twice inside raindrops, then exits, resulting in a second, fainter rainbow with the colors in reverse order from the primary bow. And this Pensacola pelican perched on a rail seems to be enjoying this steady but punchy breeze.
For more content like this, subscribe to the National Weather Desk's YouTube channel.
Work is underway in New Hampshire to make repairs to a seawall that was badly damaged by storms last year. Officials hope to have the work finished before winter weather sets in. Kelly O'Brien has a closer look at that ongoing construction.
I would say 2018 and then January were probably the worst damage that I've seen down there.
After back-to-back catastrophic storms in January, the seacoast is still picking up the pieces. In Rye, there are 5 projects to fix, coming in at just under $250,000.
There's several of them that have been completed. Federal funding is paying 75% and the town is paying 25%.
The town is working with the state to come up with a design to make the seawall stronger and more resilient. Some fixes are eligible for FEMA funding, but others are not.
So when we're doing them, we're not just putting a Band-Aid on it. We want to have something that's more permanent that will withstand future storms.
One thing DOT has done is add an emergency barrier behind the seawall. That way, if surge washes the rock wall away, there is still protection to prevent the roads from washing out and closing down for days. Right now, rebuilding the damaged portions of the seawall is their top priority. Crews hope to have it done by the end of the year.
So the intent is that that's going to hold up, hopefully for a while. How long that is, we'll see.
Many places around the country are gearing up for the winter and also the holiday season. Right here in D.C., there is a unique ice show that combines art with bitter cold temperatures. Meteorologist Amy Aronson has more.
Good grief, it's cold in here. I'm meteorologist Amy Aronson at Gaylord National. Come inside, ice with me.
Ice is an indoor winter wonderland made up of 6,300-pound blocks of ice. And as you can imagine, very cold temperatures are a must.
We keep it about 9 degrees because we found that that's a pretty close temperature to keep ice from sublimating too fast or getting too warm and melting. So we kind of look for a happy medium.
A lot of work goes into keeping this ice in tip-top shape through the holiday season.
We get the ice from the plant. It comes in the colors you see. And then our guys take the blocks. We have two different teams. We have the builders that build the big structures and stuff you can see. And then we have the detail carvers that go and do all the detail work. And it takes them about 33 days to bring this whole show to life. We do daily maintenance. You have to do touch-ups, and the ice sublimates slowly, so it shrinks. So they have to go through and do detail work to like the faces and stuff like that, just to bring the details back out.
And they give you a blue parka like I'm wearing here, but makes you dress for the elements. A hat, gloves, and nice warm shoes are highly recommended. Here at the National Harbor, right outside Washington, D.C., I'm meteorologist Amy Aronson.
This time of the year often brings colder temperatures, but it also brings an increase in deer sightings. Male deers are out looking for a mate, and this leads to a huge increase in deer and also deer and car collisions. Marcel Francis is in North Carolina with more.
During deer mating season, deer are on the run between mid-October to early December, which, as many North Carolinians know, can cause accidents. Last year, there was an increase of more than 1,700 animal vehicle crashes, with the overall figure reaching nearly 22,000 crashes, with 90% considered to have involved deer. The months of October through December account for more than half of those crashes, according to the North Carolina Department of Transportation.
It's a good time for you to pull out that auto insurance policy, take a look and just see what kind of policy you have, because a lot of people think they're covered. And when they do get in a collision involving an animal such as a deer, a lot of times they find out that they're going to be paying out of pocket.
Deer are usually the most active from dusk until dawn, but during mating season, their movements can be unpredictable. For those on the road for the holidays, be sure to stay alert behind the wheel by not driving fatigued and scan the road ahead for any wildlife. If you happen to encounter a deer, slow down and watch out for other deer that may follow. While slowing down, honk your horn to make sure you scare the animal. Brake firmly and do not swerve.
Rain is another risk when hitting the road. Meteorologist Evan Chick-Vera shows one way the sky might indicate wet weather is on the way, and it all has to do with color.
All right, I want to talk a minute about our sunrise shots here and those sunsets you talked about. So when we have higher clouds in the atmosphere, these are going to be, up in the 15, 20, 25,000 foot range. And when the sun's getting ready to come up here, you get these vibrant colors. And a lot of times, back many years ago, the sailors would notice this, farmers would notice this, and they would see red skies in morning or at sunset, and they knew there was a weather system coming in place. So on a clear sky, of course, you'll get the beautiful colors. You look off in the distance, but when you have those higher clouds, you'll get this refraction, this cool look that'll give us red skies. Those are water crystals, water droplets in the upper levels that scatter with the angle of the sun either setting or rising, and that will give us a beautiful view, but also sometimes indicate that rain is on the way. That is certainly the case here across much of the eastern seaboard over the next 24 hours.
NASA recently launched a mission to one of Jupiter's moons, Europa, to see if it can sustain life as we know it. And artificial intelligence is playing a role in this exploration. Lindsay Mastis shows us what scientists hope to learn.
And liftoff. Liftoff for Falcon Heavy with Europa Clipper.
The Europa Clipper will take more than 5 years to reach Jupiter's moon and come as close as 16 miles from it. Steve Chen, who has led AI projects in space at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, sat down with me at the AI Plus Robotics Summit. He says future missions could include having a lander on the surface, but there are issues only AI can solve.
We can't talk to the robot, let's say every day or even every 3 days, and that's because of the distance, that's because of the radiation.
He estimates the spacecraft would only have 30 days to operate.
And the real challenge is it has to make scientific judgment decisions on its own. Do I stop sampling here? Do I go sample there?
And communicating with people here on Earth would be intermittent.
We've used the AI to make the spacecraft operate more efficiently, but still we leave a lot of this judgment kind of call to the science team on the ground. But there are places we want to go that we can't have humans interact with them.
He says AI being able to reason on its own could also be applied to satellites.
We have a project that has about a dozen international partners where we're trying to corral about 40 spacecraft to work together using AI and to make coordinated measurements of volcanoes erupting, of flooding events, and different natural hazards like that. And that's completely unprecedented.
That could be life-changing for us here on Earth.
And time now for a short break, but first let's take flight over Susquehanna River in Pennsylvania.
Good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Snow showers across the northern plains, rain across the Ohio Valley today, but that's going to change over to snow by the time that we get into the day tomorrow. So today, look at sunny in Wichita, 54. You're like, what's going on? Again, we're going to watch all this rain change over to snow for the day tomorrow. And as we continue on into your Friday, starting to dry out across a lot of the Midwest.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Wow, is it cold in Amarillo? 29 degrees this morning, into the 40s and 30s elsewhere, 50s all the way down to 60s in Brownsville and back out toward New Orleans. High pressure moves in. That means lots of sunshine, and it means a kind of a warm day for most of the area down to the south, but still pretty cool on up toward the north. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia, and that's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Wednesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon ODonnell. Trying to settle down in the Pacific Northwest. We just wrapped up that bomb cyclone. It continues to slowly settle down and push back to sea. We'll actually see some sun breaks in Seattle and Portland today with highs in the 50s. Meanwhile, Phoenix, a perfect 77. We'll see 50s around Salt Lake City. Again, that so-called bomb cyclone, deep area of low pressure, continuing to push out to sea today. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Washington Observatory rime ice can form. Meteorologist Emily Santum explains what rime ice is and why it's simply so common there.
You've probably seen so many pictures of rime ice from the Mount Washington Observatory, like this picture right to my right. So what exactly is it? Well, rime ice and ice in general often form at the summit, which prompts the Mount Washington weather observers to remove the ice, like what's going on in this picture right here. Now, the summit is at 6,288 feet, meaning it's mostly in the clouds and the fog. Now, rime ice specifically is a phenomenon that occurs on objects that are located in the clouds or fog in this case, and when both the object and the air temperature is below 32 degrees. Now, within the cloud or the fogs are millions of supercooled water droplets, which are drops of liquid water that can survive as water in temperatures that are below the freezing mark, but then freeze on impact. So why do some of them kind of look like this? A little bit of funky look right here. Well, Mount Washington is known for having the craziest weather on Earth and those wild winds. As supercooled water droplets freeze into ice, they're forced to accumulate in the direction of the wind blows. Here it is right here. The wind is blowing from the right to the left, which is why you're looking at that figure.
And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Wednesday, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.